What's up, guys? Happy Thanksgiving. I hope your belly is full as mine. I appreciate you joining me on this holiday. So in the last video, guys, what we did was we prepared the soil. We got that mixed up, and then we also got our containers or our solo cups prepared and prepped for our fig cuttings. What I want to really stress to you guys, I don't know if I nailed it in the last video, how important it is to prep that soil mix maybe a day or two before your fig cuttings come in. What I noticed is the following day when I came down to check on the soil mix, it wasn't as moist or saturated as I wanted it to be. So I've been adding water. I've actually had to do it twice. So make sure to do this prep a couple days before your fig cuttings come in. So again, my name is Homer from Basement Figs, Illinois Zone 5B, and I appreciate you guys joining me on this holiday again. Happy Thanksgiving. In today's video, what we're gonna actually do is we're gonna do our fig cuttings. Our fig cuttings came in the mail, and we're going to go ahead and prepare them, get them prepped up, cleaned up. I'm going to show you some tricks that I do, so make sure to stick around, enjoy. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment. I appreciate you guys joining me on this adventure. Thanks, guys. So let's get this started. He went and did it again. He went ahead and spoiled us again. If you guys don't know who I'm talking about you, Notorious Fig. I appreciate your generosity. I appreciate our friendship. What a perfect gift for Thanksgiving. I appreciate you so much, man. So it came in the mail. I'm super stoked. Let's open this baby up, guys. I'm so excited. Let's do this. Wow. Oh my gosh. This is more than I was expecting, my friend. Holy cow, man. What the hell, bro? Wow. Yeah, this episode's called Cuttings, and More Cuttings, and that's the reason why, guys. Again, Notorious Fig, you're amazing, man. So let's open this one up. Salib, MBVS. Susak! My God, you're amazing, bro. This is one of the most sought after figs right now. It's really hot. Campaneri, another awesome hot fig. We're gonna have to have a long discussion later on Notorious Figs on what all of this stuff is. Craven's Craving. Ooh, Red Lebanese Baca Valley. So Notorious Fig sent me a list of the fig cuttings he was gonna send. So I'm gonna have to go and compare some notes. Col de Dame Roja. Look at the size of this one. Italian 258. Ooh, one of the ones I've been looking for. White Madeira #1. That's a nice looking cutting there. That is an amazing cutting. You guys, I can't even pronounce these figs. Teramu. Look at this Susak branch. Holy smolies. That thing is huge. This is going to be a challenge right here, guys. I'm up for it. I don't know a lot of these acronyms, so again, I got to hit them up. Woohoo! Amazing. Thank you so much, Notorious Fig. I appreciate you so much. I wasn't even planning to do fig cuttings, really. I was really just going to do my Chicago Hardy just for this series. And then what happened was I was talking to him when we first started becoming friends. And right away, he says, I'm sending you all these cuttings. And I was like, what? He's like, don't buy any cuttings. And I was like, I wasn't really planning on getting into the cutting game again. But again, appreciate it. Guys, this is more than I need. This is more than I wanted to have in my grow tent. I'm gonna go ahead and keep the ones that I really wanna grow. I'm gonna go ahead and list a couple cuttings that I wanna give away. We'll stay tuned for that. At the end of the video, I'm gonna have a list of the fig cuttings you can choose if you win. Again, stay tuned. I'll make that announcement throughout this video, guys. Here's a close-up of all of the cuttings. All right, let me show you something, guys, that gets a little bit tricky when you get into the fig cutting game. You get a cutting like this, which way is up? Sometimes you get cuttings like this, where obviously you know which way is up. Sometimes you get something like this, which has pretty much similar diameter, and it's kind of hard to tell which way is up. A really good trick to do is if you look at this one, see this branch coming out of this? So that's where a leaf was, okay? So obviously that is down, so you want the leaf on the bottom and then the nodes on the top. Take a look at this one here. You have your leaf here. that is a branch coming out, and that's a fig coming out. So that's how you know this is the top part. When you order fig cuttings, you should hope for at least 4 nodes, a minimum of 3 nodes. What you want to do is at least have 2 of these nodes underneath the soil and at least 1 node above the soil. Amazing cuttings. So your cuttings came in the mail. What do you do next? All right. So the first thing you guys want to do is you want to go ahead and make sure to label your cuttings. I like to label them above the second node from the bottom. I'm going to label it CES. You get the idea. Most of these are labeled, so I'm not really concerned about it. What I got here, guys, is a 5-gallon bucket with warm, lukewarm water. What we want to do is we want to go ahead and start cleaning and preparing these cuttings. What I do a little bit different than maybe someone out there that's currently doing this is I like to keep them in this bucket for about 24 hours. So what we're going to go ahead and do is soak these up. Just drop them in there. I know Notorious Fig. You might know who you're getting your cuttings from. Just on the safe side, you should follow all of these steps of cleaning your fig cuttings. So the purpose of soaking them here in this bucket for 24 hours, I just feel like fig cuttings, depending on how long they've been cut and how long they've been sitting out, this helps kind of rehydrate them, kind of start getting them to wake up. It also gets a lot of the dirt out. So I'll give you guys a close-up so you guys can see they're just soaking. The water's already kind of getting dirty. And what I suggest, guys, is when you soak these in like this for 24 hours or longer, just give it a good shake here and there. Good spin. We're gonna let this sit for about 24 hours, so we'll attack this tomorrow. All right, guys, so if you notice my improved Celeste behind me, the air layers are gone and any scaffolds in the lower were cut off. I went ahead and made some cuttings of it. I already soaked them, did a couple steps, but what I want to show you is how to label them. Okay? My choice right now is this silver Sharpie. Those Sharpie pen ones are a little bit tricky. Sometimes the paint doesn't come out. I'm just struggling with it, so I'm going to go ahead and use a metallic silver Sharpie to label these. We have improved Celeste. So love this marker already. You can see improved Celeste right there. As you follow along in my series, guys, I multiple label things, right? So I'm labeling these sticks just right now as a backup plan. The goal is to label the containers, the pots that they're going in as well. You just want to keep track of all of these figs, especially when you have a lot of how awesome the silver ones are. Easy to read. Now that I got them labeled up, I'm going to go ahead and get them ready for the next step. It's been 48 hours actually since we put the cuttings that we got from Notorious Fig into this 5-gallon bucket. So I actually changed the water 2 other times. They're nice and hydrated again. So the next step, what I do, guys, is I take the cuttings, I get a container, little low profile, and you'll see why. So what I do is I just take the cuttings, and I put a single layer down. The more you can fit, the better. So now that we got a single layer of cuttings in this aluminum pan, what I do next is I get hydrogen peroxide. This one is 3%. You can buy this at Walmart. That's where I got this one. Any grocery store, even a hardware store should have it. Super cheap. It's about $1.19 for this. So I buy a bunch of them during cutting season. So all I do is I just put some in this tray. Some people will dilute it. I don't think you really need to. You can see I just do enough so that I can swirl it and coat them. So this hydrogen peroxide, our goal is to just try to kill any remaining bacteria, fungi, or anything that's on here. Just try to make the cuttings as sterile as possible. So what I do is I let this sit here for about 3 hours minimum. Sometimes I let it go overnight. What I do is I'll put them on a towel or a drying rack and let them dry. The key thing here, guys, is when you take these out and dry them, make sure that you're available to go to the next step, because you can't just put them on the drying rack and let them dry out. That's really defeats the purpose of soaking them in that bucket. You want to keep these cuttings kind of moist and saturated and not drying out. So after they've been soaking in the hydrogen peroxide, what I do is like I said, I put them on a drying rack. I just took these off. They're pretty much dry. Just turn them. Once we identify which is top, what I like to do is give myself a quick indication, and I like to keep the top ones flat. So I cut this one off nice and flat. In this one we have 1, 2, 3, 4 nodes. We want to bury the bottom node and the second from the bottom node. So we want the soil line right about there. Now we gotta attack this bottom node here. See how there's that node here and the bud and the leaf? What I like to do is I like to cut 45-degree angle the opposite side. And the more angle you can get, the better, because then you're just forcing more surface area. So I just cut it like so. So now that we cut the bottom, what I do is I just get a knife. Always want to clean it. I have rubbing alcohol on this towel. I want to score, or should I say scrape off the bark and expose some of that cambium layer. So the green stuff, you'll see what I'm talking about in a second. I like to nick a little bit of that. And then I just kind of rotate around. Okay. And then once I get kind of a little bit of that scraping going on, so once I get that scraping done, what I like to do is I kind of try to rub some of the bark off. You see these white or these tan dots? Those are possible root nodes, so I don't really want to scrape there. And that's all I do, guys. So what we did was we cut the top, we angled the bottom, we scraped the bottom to expose some of the cambium layer. What I used to do in the past was I used to run a blade and score it. I don't do that anymore. What I noticed was a lot of the ones that I scored like that actually failed, so I don't do it anymore. What we want to do next is get some Parafilm M. You can get this on Amazon. Make sure to get the right things. The first batch I bought the wrong stuff. This stuff is called Parafilm M. You can actually find it in the description below, just so you know you're getting the right one. There's different thicknesses. I like the thinner one. This is, I think, 1/2 inch, and they also make it 1 inch. Not cheap, so it is what it is. I think it's necessary. If you don't have the money for it, what you can do, and I've seen people do, is they take candle wax and they wax the top. What we want to do is, again, we identified these bottom nodes are going to be underneath the soil. So I actually start my wrap halfway to the next node. And this Parafilm M, guys, is stretchy, and that's how it kind of attaches. So you want to kind of pull and wrap. Okay. And I just kind of overlap. All our goal is to make sure that the top of this cutting, while we're rooting it, doesn't dry out on us. You can go ahead and cover the nodes. If a leaf decides to come out of this node, it'll break through this parafilm. So what I do is just wrap like so. And then again, I'm pulling and wrapping. The top is always tricky. What I like to do is I like to start covering the top and pull. And again, pull. I'm just trying to cover as much as that top. And I'm not really too concerned about overwrapping the top here. So our goal is just to make sure that that top cutting stays wrapped, so no moisture escapes and no bacteria or anything can get into that top and ruin your cutting. Okay, and I just wrap it down and then just pull. Just keep pulling tight. And it kind of self-sticks to itself. And there we go, we have a cutting. Now that we got that wrapped, what we want to do is we want to get it in the water right away. And I'll show you the next step. Let's do this again. We have a Craven's Craving here. We're gonna just clean off the top. What I actually like to do first is I actually like to wrap it before I handle this. I want to seal this top cut right away. Again, one node down here, a node down here, soil line. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap that. Just put your finger like so, start stretching it. And I'm just pulling and wrapping. And again, making sure to overlap. I'm starting to cover the top. The top. And then just give it a wrap to seal it all. And then pull. And we have another one. Again, once we get the top wrapped like so, we'll go ahead and cut the bottom. That's our bottom node, opposite side. This one's gonna be a rough, thick one. And there we go. I love the smell of figs. So we'll go ahead and start scraping. You can see all of those bumps are possible future root nodes. So we don't want to scrape too many of them. We're just scraping to expose some of the cambium. And then we'll just scrape some of the bark. So that's what that looks like. And then we'll go ahead and put it in some water. All we do is we just put it in the water to keep it wet until our next step. So I'm just gonna get to work here, guys. I got a lot to do. A little advice and a little tip. If you have a lot of cuttings, identify which is top and kind of lay them out so there's no mistakes, no errors going on. Again, guys, there's so many ways to do this. This is, again, what I do. So I just wrap the top. I'm coming back down. When I come back down, I don't want to double wrap that node. So I make sure to go around it. See, here's another node. I'm intentionally not trying to cover that a second time. So here was a Cessac, a cutting that I really wanted to grow and have success with. It was actually super long, and the node spacing was too far apart. I would have had it sticking out too far, so I did sacrifice this one and cut it. It wasn't a greed thing, it was more of a container issue. White Madeira #1. One of the only cuttings that I really care if they root, to be honest. I really want one of these. Why are we cutting this and why are we scoring and scraping and all of this stuff? The thinking behind it is we're trying to send signals to this root cutting here to send all of these hormones down here to kind of self-heal itself. And what it's trying to do is preserve itself. So what it'll try to do is grow roots out of here to stay alive, right? Plants are just like animals or humans, right? We have this instinct to survive. There we go. We just did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 cuttings. All right, guys, so try to get in the habit of keeping your tools clean. I'm really bad about that stuff, but we'll start cleaning this. All right, guys, once I get my cuttings cut like so, the next step is, and this step is completely optional. I find a lot of good success with it. You can skip this step if you don't want to. But my success rate right now doing it is 100%. So I'm gonna keep trying it until I fail, but I'm finding success with it. So I'm gonna do it. What you wanna do is get some CloneX or rooting hormone. And then what you wanna get is aloe, okay? This is probably something that people are like, why is he using aloe? Not a lot of people do it. I learned this from the other community, you know, those guys, they add it to their cuttings. So it's something that I adapted. I found success with it. Again, you can totally skip this step, but the concept of aloe is known to have the healing properties. So when you score the cuttings, this helps heal that process, start that rooting process a lot quicker. Again, you can skip this step. I get this from Build a Soil. I've seen videos out there where people use actual aloe gel. I'm just using a powder form. How I mix it is a cup of water, 8 ounces. Then I have a teaspoon. And you don't have to be super precise. And then what I do is I take some of this aloe. A little goes a long way. I actually add this stuff too when I do my transplants. I'll show you guys that in a future video. But all I do is I sprinkle a little bit. Just give it a good stir. So then you get this kind of reddish orange liquid. And all I do is I just transfer my cuttings that we just did in here. All I do is I transfer them into this liquid, and then I just let them sit for 24 hours in this liquid, and then I'll show you the next step. You saw how I had my improved Celeste. My improved Celeste cuttings here. They've been soaking in this CloneX aloe mix for about 48 hours now. But what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna transfer them into their own separate cups. So you'll see they just get dyed a little bit of red. So I got nice clean water here. And all I do is I just put them in their own cups. Sometimes I'll just do 2 and then separate them So the next step here is, again, I put them in water, and then another thing, you don't have to do all of these steps. You can just take this cutting here and put it in your soil mix already. But this is what I do, and this is what I find success. Again, I can't stress it enough, guys. You can do this multiple ways and get the same results. To me, cuttings are boring. I just like to try things. And again, I'm finding a lot of success doing it this way. So you get to this step, you'll soak them in water. How long do you soak them in this container for? I do until I see root nodes. Okay, so let me show you what I'm talking about. All right, so here's a Chicago Hardy that I've had in this water process maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. I don't really keep count on the days, but I'll show you what it's supposed to look like. You can see all of those white bumps. Those are all roots developing. So this one here, guys, it's ready to be put in its container. So here's our pre-mixed soil. It's been soaking for 72 hours. What we want to do is get our containers that we made. I actually double cup it for now. And the reason for that is, I'll show you, we're going to add a thin layer of perlite on the bottom. This extra cup just catches any of the perlite that falls out. So we have the cup with some perlite. Just give this soil a little bit of a mix. Take my cup. Okay. Just like so. Then I take my cutting and then I just fill it in. The reason why I don't do that technique where you stab the cutting straight into the soil, we already got some root nodes developing. We don't want to damage those. And then what I'm doing is I'm not really compacting the soil, but what I want to do is I want to give it a tap. So give me a second. So I tapped it out on my floor, and I'm just going to keep filling it in. Okay, the more soil the better, so it doesn't dry out on you. And there we go. So there's our Chicago Hardy CH. You can see the label. Nice and fluffy soil, layer of perlite on the bottom. And that's what I do for all my cuttings, guys. All right, guys, that concludes the video. In this video, we learned how to clean our cuttings, prep our cuttings, wrap our cuttings, and we actually planted a couple. In the next video, guys, what we're gonna do is take some of these cuttings and we're gonna really have some fun here. We're gonna try different techniques, different ways to plant them. I got root plugs. We're gonna go ahead and try the root plugs. We got some fig pop supplies coming in, so we're definitely gonna try this fig pops. We're gonna do a whole bunch of things, so make sure to join that video. That video is gonna drop December 9th, so next Friday, again, 6 p.m. Central Time. As for this contest giveaway, guys, I took 14 cuttings, prepped them really nice for you guys, wrapped both ends, got them in my refrigerator, and we're just gonna do this giveaway. So we'll have 3 winners, and I'm gonna actually separate them into 3 bundles. You can choose between bundle 1, bundle 2, or bundle 3. Rules are pretty simple. Number 1, you have to be a subscriber. Number 2, all you need to do to enter is drop a comment. You're gonna say Notorious Fig, which bundle you prefer in which order. For example, me, I would take bundle 3, bundle 1, and then bundle 2. The contest will end December 4th at 5 p.m. At that time, I'll draw all those names, randomize them, and then I will announce the winner Sunday, December 4th at 7 p.m. Central Time. I'll go ahead and announce the winner either by live stream or a YouTube short, I'll figure it out. Shipping is absolutely free. I will cover it. I also have a huge announcement. We have another fig grower that is supporting my channel, so stay tuned. We have cuttings gonna be sent to me. We got plants being sent to me, guys. I know these giveaways are fun, but my goal, guys, is to share this hobby, share my knowledge, and get as many new fig growers into this. Again, my name is Homer from Basement Figs, Elgin, Illinois, Zone 5B, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.